Hi friends, welcome to episode number 17 of our procurement and sourcing series. In this episode, we will cover about the charge codes capability within Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation. With that note, let's quickly jump into today's topic. First, let's try to understand what is a charge code, why do we need to use it in our purchase order or sales order. The charges feature in Microsoft Dynamics 365 SCM helps you to automatically apply charges. These charges can be anything like handling fee, freight, or transportation charges, loading or unloading charges, which are actually not directly related to the item cost. But if you want to accommodate those charges, whichever are related to any convenience or miscellaneous, also part of your purchase order, sales order transactions, then charge code is the capability using which you will be able to do that. And these charges can be applied either manually or automatically also. If you are clear about before creating the transaction what is the type of charge code which need to be added as part of their line, then you can create a charge code and assign it to a specific item or a vendor, also to a customer account. In case if you are assigning these charges to the sales order, then in those cases these charges will be automatically applied whenever those lines are added in your purchase order or sales order lines. So that's the whole idea of using charge codes in Dynamics 365. So as part of this video, how are we going to have this video is like, first we will try to understand the setup, then we will quickly create a charge code, and using the charge code we will manually maintain the charge and allocate those charges to the line. And then in the second part of the video we will create an automatic charge code, and those automatic charge codes will be applied automatically in the purchase line whenever the item is added to the purchase orders. So first let's quickly get into Dynamics 365 screen. We'll try to understand about the setups which are required. So in order to create a charge code, first of all, you need to go to procurement and sourcing module. And if you go to setup, and there is a section called charges. So you can create a charge code, but before getting into creation of the charge code, let me also tell you, you can also create vendor charge group and item charge group. So these charge groups can be created and assigned to any of the vendor or the item, so that in the whenever you are trying to do automatic charges, you can use those groups and then make use of applying the charge group. So whatever the items within that particular charge group, all those items will have the same charge codes getting applied whenever it gets added to the transaction. So that's first important configuration which I want to tell you. For example, in the system by default we have a charge group which is 01. Let me add another vendor charge group as 02. This is related to convenience fee. So this is another charge group 02 which we have created, and similarly you can also have another charge group for the item. So these charge groups can be assigned in the release products. I will also show you quickly how to do that. So item charge group number 2. So let me save this. So first we created a charge group. First we created a charge group for the vendor, and next we created a charge group for the item. So once you create a charge group for the vendor, if you go to the vendor master, and then you can assign it through the data entity. I'm just showing it for the purpose of this video, but by default generally users will try to use a data entity to assign these charge groups. So in the purchase, so in the vendor master you can assign the charge groups which you have already created. So right now we created a charge group 02, which you can assign it in the purchase order defaults in the vendor master. So any vendor who have the charge group by default 0 will apply those charge codes which we are assigning for this particular charge group. So that's the whole idea of creating charge groups first. So similarly, if you want to create a, you go to release products. In the release products also you will be able to assign the charge groups. So by default, if you have 100 items assigned to the same charge group, so all the 100 items will have the same handling fee or the same convenience fee or the same freight charges with respect to whatever the charge groups you have assigned. So for example, in case of item, you can have two charge groups. One is at the purchase level. In the purchase first tab, you can assign a charge group, which is with respect to the purchase transactions you perform using the purchase order. And at the same time, if you go to the sale first tab, you can also have a charge group assigned for the sales order transaction. So by default, for any item, you can have a different set of charges applied for the purchase transactions and different set of charges getting applied for your sales transaction, which is basically your outbound transactions, right? So this is the whole idea for creating charge groups. So let me go back to procurement and sourcing. So here you can see that we have the charge code creation. So for the purchase transactions, you can create it from the procurement and sourcing module, where you have under the setup charges and charge codes. For the sales transactions, if you want to do the same, then you have to go to accounts receivables, and then under setup, you have the charge codes. So similar, the overall the form will be same, but there are some features which are primarily different. So first, if you want to create a charge code, you need to provide an ID and the description. And let me also duplicate this tab so that you can understand what's the difference between the sales charge codes and the purchase charge codes. So in case of the first tab, I have the sales charge code. The next tab, I'm going to open the charge codes of the procurement and sourcing module. So the difference you can see here is, in case of the charge codes which are getting applied for the purchase transactions, you will be allowed to enter the maximum amount until which the charges will be applied. If the charges value can be used, you have a provision for it. But if I go to the sales, the account receivables, where we opened the charge codes, if you see here, there is a prorate tab where the charges will be applied on a pro rata basis based on the overall lines and the amount. But this functionality is specific to sales and not with respect to the purchase orders. And similarly, the maximum amount, if I go to another tab where we actually navigated from the procurement and sourcing module, here you can give the maximum amount, but not the pro rata basis. So, but otherwise the overall the form looks the same. So first, for example, if you want to create a new charge code, give it new charge code name. Let it be, I think there are freight charges and handling fee. Let me add a convenience charge at BCC, convenience charge. If you want, if you want to assign the sales tax group so that the tax calculation should be applied for the charge codes also, make sure that you assign the sales tax group over here. Let me keep it as blank. And in the posting section, we have two important areas. One is the debit section, another one is the credit section. So the first, how you want these charges to be posted in your ledger accounts. So whether the type of posting should be with respect to the item, so that these charges will be applied along with your item cost price, or do you want the charges to be applied in the ledger account? If you select the ledger account, then you can also define a posting account, which can be any of the following options, which is under the posting. It can provide a purchase fee, or it can be a purchase charges duty there. So there are multiple options over here. You need to select a posting, and then you need to select the account number and against which this will be posted. But otherwise you can also simply select a customer or vendor account. But if you want those charges to be added to the vendor account or the customer account, whenever if they are actually using a third party transportation, or they are actually providing the transportation service for the delivery of the material at your doorstep, in those cases you need to select the appropriate type accounts. So this is for the debit entries, and this is similarly for the credit entries. So credit also have the similar setup where you want those charges to be credited to your vendor account or the customer account. So in the case of sales orders, the customer account will be picked, and in case of purchase orders, the vendor account will be picked. So in this case, let me keep this scenario simple. Let me add it item, and let me keep the credit as the ledger account, and let me keep it as save. Sorry, I need to specify the account number. So let me select vendor invoice discount. No, that's not a right one. Let me select as purchase fee, then select an expense account. You must be but for this, make sure that you discuss with your finance consultants or the finance product managers and assign the appropriate expense accounts, so that the accounts are appropriately tagged to the respective accounts. So whenever you raise any inquiries and reports, the appropriate accounts gets debited and credited. So let me save this again. So now you can see against the item, whatever the posting profiles we have configured in the item release product, those accounts will be used in case of the item, and the same value will get credited to your ledger account, where we have given the ledger account number also. So this is how you need to create a charge code. So still we are in the process of the setup. So we created the vendor charge groups and the item charge groups, and now we have created a charge code. And let me go back to the slide. So first we will try to understand the process of manual allocation. So we will create a quickly we will create a purchase order where we will try to manually allocate the charge codes to the header and the line level. So we'll first go back to Dynamics 365 screen. So let me quickly create a purchase order. So I'll be kind of going a bit fast since we have already discussed a lot about creating the purchase orders and how do we add the lines at the header and the line level. So please do check out the session regarding the same. So let me quickly create a purchase order. And in this case, what we will do is we will add the charges at the header level and manually allocate it to the lines. So this I have created a purchase order. Let me add the item number. So right now you can see that we are going to procure a quantity of 1 at a unit price of $8.99. So right now, if at the line level, if I check the charges, I go to financials, maintain charges. So right now you can see there are no charge codes which are applied to the line. So this is at the line level, and if you want to check at the header level, if you go to purchase, so here if you check at the maintain charges, so these are the charges which gets allocated at the header level. So in the header level, let me allocate a charge code, the convenience charge which we created. So right now we are manually assigning this charge. So it can be fixed or percent or intercompany percent external proportional. I will also quickly share the slide where I have just explained about these details. I will strongly recommend you to pause this video to go through the fundamental definition of what is the difference between fixed, pieces, percent, what kind of category which you are supposed to use. Or I will also make sure that I will share the link for the Microsoft Dynamics 365 docs page where you can also go through these details. So right now I'm keeping the category as fixed and provide a charge value of 1.75. So let me save this. So I want to give a convenience charge of $1.75. So let me go back. So now we have just created the charge at the header level, and right now we need to allocate this to the line level. In order to allocate the charges to the line level, click on allocate charges on the header section. So here we have three options for the charge allocation. One is the net amount, another is quantity, another one is per line. So let's go back to the presentation. So this is where I have just mentioned what's the difference between these three categories. So first allocation is net amount, where you allocate charges according to each line amount relative to the total net amount. So the charges gets allocated to the each line's net amount. If you want to do that, then the charge which we actually created 1.75 gets allocated to each and every line. Or do you want it to be allocated based on the quantity? Allocate charges according to the number of units for each line relative to the total number of units. So it gets allocated based on the each and every unit. Let's say if we buy 10 laptops of Pro, Surface Pro, then for 10 quantity, each and every quantity, the charges will be allocated. Or if you want to take it at the per line basis, then allocate charges equally among the total number of lines. So it kind of allocates the charges, whatever $1.75 which we are taking, it gets allocated to all the total number of lines equally. If we have 10 lines, then the total charges at the header level will be divided into 10 and allocated to each and every line. So you need to decide what should be the allocation logic. So in this case, let me keep this as quantity. And if you can also select whether you want to apply these charges to all the lines or only to the positive lines or just to negative lines. Even you can view if let's say if you created a purchase order with more than 100 lines, then in those cases, if you want to allocate these charges only for the positive lines, then you can select the positive lines and you can show the selection here where you can select a specific lines also, and then you can also filter the appropriate items and include only those items for which you want to allocate the charges. So this is the beauty of using this functionality, allocate charges to order lines in Dynamics 365. So let me now allocate it at the line level. Let me click on allocate. So right now if we go to financials and click on maintain charges now, Now you can see the convenience charges got allocated to the line from the header. So now if I go back, we confirm the purchase order, because I just want to quickly do the product receipt and do the invoice also and show you what is the how this charge amount got added to the respective ledger account. So we have confirmed it. Now let us try to receive this particular item. So let me give a product receipt number. Then let me quickly click on OK. So we are not getting into the details of the product receipt, which we have already covered in our purchase order part 2. So please do check out the same. So now the product receipt is processed. You can see the status is received. Now let me go to the invoice and quickly invoice this item also. So when we post the invoice, the charge gets allocated to the respective ledger accounts, credited to the ledger account, because that's how we have configured it. You can see for the convenience G, the debit should happen at the item and the credit should happen at the ledger account level. So that's what we want to see over here. Let me add the invoice number, and let it be an invoice number. Let me add an invoice date. Let me update the match status. The match status should be passed. And then let me post the invoice. So this will actually post the invoice channel, and then right now what we are going to do is we are going to go and check the inventory transactions for this particular line. So the transaction should tell us how much charge value got posted against this particular item. So let me go to inventory and then click on transactions. So right now, if you see here, you can see the total cost amount for this particular transaction is 900.75, even though actual cost price, the unit price which reflects over at the line level is 899 plus 1.75 is the charge amount which we actually wanted to get credited to the ledger account, right? So that's our old reason that amount additional cost value got added, got credited to the ledger account. So the total cost amount, you can see it is 900.75. So even if I think if you get into the transaction details, you can see the ledger postings in the separate account. I think there is a delay. Yeah, the ledger posting is happens at a separate account, both for the physical and the financial offset account. And here I think even if you check the um, transactions, yeah, you can see the physical cost amount is 899, but the financial cost amount after posting the invoice is 900.75, which means the amount got posted against the ledger account, which we actually added as part of our charge account charge code. So you can also view the postings over here. So this is against the product receipt, packing slip ID, the overall cost amount, and you can also view the ledger over here. So this got posted against the offset account 200,140. So that's great. So this is the whole idea of using manually posting the charge codes. So the second scenario which we are going to quickly see is the automatic posting of charge codes, where you need to create the automatic charges in the procurement and sourcing module. If you go to charges, you have to first of all create a automatic charges. So this can be done at the header level or the line level. So here what we are going to do is we are going to create two lines. One is where we are going to add the charges at the header level. Another line we are going to add charges automatically at the line level. So in this case, you don't need to maintain charges and then allocate it manually. In this case, the charges will be automatically applied. So first let's create a charge for the header level. So first the account type can be table. So this is with respect to the relation for vendor, but a similar way if you go to the accounts receivables. So let me on the other tab, let me go to accounts receivables and then click on auto charges. So here you can see the account type. Based on the account type, it will be a customer relation, and where you will be able to add charge codes for the customers and not for the vendors. So let me go to the other tab. So basically here we are trying to do the relation for the vendor, right? So this is where I told you, if you create a vendor charge group, then you assign the account type as charge group, and you can provide the charge groups which we already created. So if convenience fee is the charge group which is allocated to maybe 100 vendors, then for all the 100 vendors, this particular automatic charge code will be automatically applied. So right now let me create a one-on-one relation where we create a table, then select maybe I'll select the best supplier. And then if you want, the item level relation is possible only at the level line, but not at the header. So right now we are creating a charge code at the header level. So that's why the item is disabled. You can also select a mode of delivery if you want. Provide a charge description. Let it be transportation. Then once you hit the save button, then the add option will be enabled. So here you can provide the currency, and then provide the charge code which we already created. That can be anything like convenience fee or handling fee or whatever it may be. So let me select a fee, vendor fee. It can be fixed. Let me provide a value as maybe $2.22, just for ease of understanding. You can also provide a from amount and to amount from until which the range with which this will be valid. And you can also provide a site and warehouse. So let me provide a site and warehouse as site 2 warehouse 21. Let me save this. Now let me select the line, and then for the line, similarly I will create a new auto charge. So this time you can see the item code relation and the vendor relation both are enabled, because at the line level you can provide the item level charges to be applied also. So right now here I'm going to select the same supplier, best supplier, and the item, let me select item, HDMI cables. Then let me click on save. So here let me change the currency to USD, and the charge code be the convenience charge which we created, and the value, let me give a fixed value. The case, let it be 3.33. So 2.22 is the charge which we allocated at the header level, and right now we are assigning 3.33 as the charge value at the line level. So this also be for the site 2 and warehouse 21. So for each and every site level, you can have multiple charge codes with different types of categories. So that with using which you can play around and configure the charge codes as per your business requirements. So let me save this. So right now we created the automatic charge codes, but the most important setup here is if you go to procurement and sourcing module, you need to make sure that the system should consider the auto charges which are created. So you need to, in the procurement and sourcing parameter, you need to enable find auto charges. So if you go to prices section, so here you need to make sure that the find auto charges for the header and find auto charges for the line is always enabled, without which the system will not be able to identify the auto charges and apply it in your header and the line. So this is primarily for the purchase orders, but similar fashion, if you want to do it for the your sales orders, then if you need to go to account receivables and account receivable parameters. So in the account receivable parameter, there is a section called prices. Under prices, you need to make sure that if you create a sales order after creating the auto charges for the header and the line, then make sure that you need to enable these two, which is very important. So let me go back to the procurement and sourcing module. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a purchase order for the vendor best supplier. Let me click on new, and then vendor account best supplier, and I will select the site and warehouse as 221. Then let me click the OK button. So here what I'll do is I will add a first the item 1000, and then the next line I'm going to add so this is completely fine, but let me add the, because the vendor is not authorized, we can close this, that should be fine, but I just don't want this validation to pop up every time, so I'm just manually adding that particular vendor to this item. This is not mandatory, but I just don't want that validation to come on again and again. So I'm just adding this vendor. Let me save this. Let me go back. I think now it is part of the authorized vendor list of this particular item, so we will not get this error message. Great. So now we have added the item, and let me add another line also, the HDMI cable A001. So this case also let it be quantity 1, and so now for the first line, if I go to purchase orders, let me save this first of all. So first, if you check at the line level for the now the active cell is for the item Surface Pro 128 GB. If I check at the line level, we should not have any charges. Great. So we do not have any charges allocated. So that's fantastic. But let us check in the header, purchase, maintain charges. So now at the header also, I could not see any charges over here, but let me go back, and then let me check for the item A001, purchase order line, sorry, financials, then maintain charges. Okay, so automatic charges is not applied. So let me go back. Um, Let me refresh this page, because sometimes I can see there is a delay in these charges getting applied. So let me refresh this manually. The charges are not applied. Uh, the currency is in euro. I think that should be the reason. Let me go back to the header. Um, then let me expand all the FOSS tabs. Uh, then let me change the currency to USD. Let me save this. Okay. So let's try this again. Let me save this. Let me go to the lines. Let me select the line 221 is the arrows. Let me once again confirm this. So the line level, I could not see it, but let me go back to procurement and sourcing, and then charge codes. So we have the convenience charge, so that is fine. Then let me go to automatic charges. So here at the header level, it is against 104 currency USD. Okay, so let me select the line. Line, okay, the item is correct. So let me save this. Now let me refresh this page again. So now let me select the line number 2. Let me click on financials and let me click on maintain charges. Still I could not see the charges applied over here. No issue. Let me try for the 1000 maintain charges. It's not added. So let me go back, delete the lines, then add the lines again. Remove, delete all marked lines. Yeah. Then let me add a line. So let me add the line 1000 quantity B1. That is okay. Then let me add the line 8001 HDMI cables also. So now let me save this. Then now let me go to financials, maintain charges. Great. So now we got the charges applied over here. So the issue was the currency. So now you can see the for the second line it is automatically applied. Let's go back to 1000 and then check. Here we should not have it. So now for this line we don't have any charges applied because we have actually configured for the HDMI cable where we can see that charges got automatically applied. So now let me go back. So for this line, now let me go to purchase order and then click on totals. So now I can see the value is 911, but the charges is 0. That is fine because the convenience fee, that's how we have configured it. And then now for this particular line item, if I go to purchase, maintain charges, but I could not see the charges reflecting over here for this vendor. Uh, Let me remove this line. So the idea was, let me go back to auto charges. Let me go to header. Here we have selected the vendor selection is 104 USD is the currency, fixed charges 2121. So this should be applied to the vendor account because vendor account 104 is the vendor account we have selected, and the charge currency is USD. And but I could not see the value of the maintain charges on the header. Let me go to maintain charges. Yeah, I could not see the charges at the header level. So let me close this. Let me close this form. Let me go back because I think it's because of the currency which we have wrongly captured because the best supplier actually comes with the currency euro, but the configuration in the auto charges we have it as USD. So that's where I said each and every dimension are very important. So let me select best suppliers again, and because I want to have the auto charges at the header level, and here I should have changed the currency to USD and site is 221. So each and every dimension the system actually checks and based on which they automatically assigns the charges. So let me click on OK now, and so right now let me add the item number 1000. So here the quantity is 1, that is fine. Let me add a new line. So this is the HDMI cable. Okay, that is fine. Let me save this. Right now, let's see, for the 1000, I should not have any charges at the line because the line level configuration is done for A001. So if I go to maintain charges, okay, I could not see any charges at the line, but for 1000, we need maintain charges at the header. Great, fantastic. So the issue was the currency. So now you can see the header level automatic charges was actually done for the charge value of vendor fee, which is 2.2, which gets automatically assigned. So we didn't go here and manually assign it. So let me go back and then let me select A001. So here we have not given any charges at the header level. So this has to be at the line level. So so here I can see the charges at the header level, but right now I'm not assigning it. But we can see at the line level, if I go to financials and maintain charges, so here I should see the charge value of 3.3. So this is the charge value which we automatically created, auto charge which we created, and it got automatically assigned. So let me go back. So this is the whole idea of creating charge codes. So the issue was with the currency code which we actually used. So right now we are able to use the charge codes which we actually created for this line, which is 3.3. But at the same time, for the header level, since we have it at the header level, let's see, we have the charge of 2.2%, 2.2 fixed value. If I want to allocate this 2.2 along with the other line, so for if I want to allocate the 2.2 for both the lines, then let me keep it as net amount, and then it can be for positive lines, and then so you can select all the lines, and then let me allocate the charge. So now for the first line, if I go to financials, I will have only one charge, which is the 2.19 along with the header value. And if I go to the next line A001, I will have two charge codes. If we go to maintain charge, you can see the convenience charge and also the vendor fee. So both the charge codes got assigned. So the value difference is because of USD and Euro, the currency conversion, and that's why there is a difference in the value. Otherwise, it should be 2.2. So let me go back. So that's how you create and assign manual charge codes and automatic charge codes. I know this session is a bit lengthy, and sorry for wrongly capturing the currency code. So the overall point here is make sure that you correctly capture the vendor account, item, currency code, site and warehouse, so that those charge codes gets applied at your header. And once if it is applied to the header, you need to allocate those charges to the respective lines, and you can also have the automatic charge codes created for the line level also. Make sure that your configuration and the transaction line matches, otherwise you will always face this issue. So let me go to financials. So that's why we can see we have two charges. So like this, you can have multiple charge codes assigned for a specific line, and those charge codes based on which your transaction entries will be created, and appropriate ledger accounts will be debited and credited. So let me go back to the presentation. Um, so this one, I will share the link for this particular automatic allocation of charges, the MS Doc link in the description, in this video's description. Please do check out the same. But in the next episode, we will be quickly starting off with the supplementary items as part of our episode number 18. So thanks for watching this video. I know this video is a bit lengthy because we had a lot of topics to cover with respect to manual charge codes and automatic charge codes. But in the next episode number 18, we will be covering about the supplementary items. I'll try to keep it short, or we will try to cover it in two parts, part 1 and part 2. Sriram Sivashankaran signing off.